Hi, seventh graders. Happy Tuesday. I hope you all had a great 3-day weekend, are able to rest and relax and be rejuvenated for this week. The plan is for me to be back on Friday. I can't wait to see you guys all then. And yeah, let's start with today's lesson. So, our learning target for today is I can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the missing side of a right triangle. You can go ahead and pause the video, and in the top left hand corner go ahead and write the learning target in today's notes. I'm going to have you upload a picture of the notes with tomorrow's lesson. Alright, so the Pythagorean theorem, you maybe have heard of it before. It is actually a really cool math formula that uses to find missing sides of a right triangle. And the first thing you have to know is we are going to label our triangle sides A, B, and C. Now, the important thing to remember when we're labeling the sides, A and B are actually interchangeable. It doesn't matter which one you label as A, which one you label as B, but the side C has to be, in this example, it has to be this one, but the side C has to be the same in each one. And the side C is called the hypotenuse. It's the longest side of the right triangle, and it's also the side that is directly across from the right angle. So when you're thinking about labeling the sides, you have to remember that the side C is the side that is the longest side, and it's across from the right angle. Now, what the Pythagorean theorem is it says that your two shorter sides of your triangle, your legs a squared plus b squared, is equal to your longest side c squared. And we're going to go through a lot of examples the next couple of days on what this is going to look like. But just remember, a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Now, if you haven't already, I would, at the very least, draw this triangle, label the hypotenuse, and get this formula written down. So here's example one, and like I said, we're going to go through a lot of examples, and I'm going to go through the first one. So when we are trying to fill in for this formula right here, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, if I look at the two sides I have, I'm thinking these are the two shortest sides. I'm thinking they're a squared and b squared, but just to double check, my missing side is diagonal from the right angle, so that is the hypotenuse. It also says in the question that I'm solving for the hypotenuse. So I am solving for C. And it doesn't matter whether I put 3 in for A or B. I'm going to put it in for A, and I'm going to put 8 in for B. So now I'm going to plug these into the equation and go ahead and solve this. So I have 3 squared plus my b squared is 8. 8 squared is equal to c squared. So last week we were solving equations. To find out what my hypotenuse is, I have to get c by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my exponents. 3 squared is 9, and 8 squared is 64. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the two numbers on the same side that I have. 9 plus 64 is 73. And now the last thing I have to do to get c by itself is I have to get rid of the exponent of 2. So the opposite of that is the square root. And so the square root of 73 is going to be my answer. So the square root of 73 is, I'm going to say approximately, C is approximately 8 and 54/100ths. That's me rounding. The other way you could write this is you could write C is equal to the square root of 73, which gives you the exact answer. It's just not as neat as 8 and 54/100ths. So what I want you to do now is I want you to copy this triangle down your notes, and then I want you to go ahead and pause the video and see if you can find what the hypotenuse is equal to in this one. All right, welcome back. So again, we're finding the hypotenuse, and the missing side is diagonal from our right angle. So I'm going to do this. We have a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. And since we are missing the hypotenuse, your first step should have been to plug in 8 and 6 for a squared and b squared. So we have 8 squared plus 6 squared is equal to c squared. And again, to solve for c, you have to get c by itself. So 8 squared is 64. 6 squared is 36. And you have to do two more things to solve for c. We have to add the two numbers on the same side. 64 and 36 is 100. Try a little more space this time so it's not, or so it is a little bit more neat. And the last step we have to do is get rid of the exponent of 2 by taking the square root. The square root of 100 is 10. So our missing side, our hypotenuse, is equal to 10. 10 centimeters. It should include a label. Hopefully that's what you got for your answer too. If not, you can go back and check through and see where your mistake happened. All right, again, if you could pause the video and get this copied down and find the missing side. Noticing that this time it said the missing side and not the hypotenuse. That's your one little clue on this problem. Alright, welcome back. Thank you for pausing it. So, it didn't say the hypotenuse, so that's one thing we're going to have to keep in mind. You also know that the hypotenuse, which is equal to c, is diagonal from the right angle. So this time what we're missing is either side A or B. And again, it doesn't matter which one you put it in, your steps to solving it is going to be the same. So let's put it in for A. Well, we have 7 inches. So we have 7 squared plus B squared is equal to 15 squared. Because again, we know our hypotenuse. We have the side that's diagonal from the right angle and is our longest side. We're solving for one of our 2 shorter sides. So our first step again is going to be the same. Get rid of the exponents by solving them out. 7 squared is 49. So we have 49 plus b squared is equal to 15 squared, oops, not square root, makes 15 squared, 225. Now the next thing in the order is the same as what we were doing before, but with a slight twist on it. To get b by itself, since 49 is on the same side as it, instead of adding these two, we are going to subtract them. So it cancels these two out, and then leaves us with 176 is equal to b squared. And now our last step is going to be the same. We have to get b by itself, so we have to take the square root on both sides, and that gives us an answer of b is equal to the square root of 176, which again is a long decimal. I'm actually going to round it up to 13 3/10. And inches. Again, one thing, if you did this on your own and you got it wrong, you can stop and rewind it and go through each step to try to figure out at what part you went wrong and watch that part over again to make sure that you know how to do it going forward. All right, the last problem of the day is going to be example 4. Again, what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video, copy this problem down your notes, and I want you to show how you solve to find the height of the triangle this time. And then go ahead and play it and see if you got the correct answer. Alright, welcome back. So, one thing looking at this is you notice that your whole triangle is not a right triangle. But when you have the height of this triangle, that does make a 90-degree angle on the base right here. So one thing that I hope you notice right away is that we are only going to be using one of the 9s. I'm going to go ahead and cross this one out since it's not part of my red triangle. I'm going to use the red triangle to solve. The second thing I want you to hopefully notice is that 4 is the base of the entire triangle, where we already talked the right angle is made up in the red triangle only. So our side, let's use A again. On bottom, it's not equal to 4. It's going to be half this because this line cuts our base in half. So your A for this triangle is going to be 2 centimeters. If you solved using 4, I want you to go ahead and pause and resolve it using 2 this time. Now, looking at the triangle, this bottom one is the shortest side, so I'm going to use 2 as A. 2 squared. The other side I have right here, 9, is diagonal from the 90 degrees, so that's my C squared, which means my missing side, my height, is again going to be B squared. Again, if you solved this and had 2 squared as part of your B, and you're solving for A squared, you do not have to pause it. Your answer should be the same as what I get. These two are interchangeable. So again, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of our exponents and the parts that have the numbers. So 2 squared is 4. Oops, I don't need 9 squared. I need to find out what 9 squared is equal to. So 9 squared is 9 times 9. That's equal to 81. And this next step, we're getting to the part where we want to get B squared by itself. So I had to get the 4 from the left side of the equation to the right part. I'm going to do that by doing the opposite and taking 4 away on both sides to keep it balanced. Oops. That leaves me with B squared is equal to 81 take away 4, which is 77. Again, this last step is always the same. To get B by itself, we are going to take the square root on both sides. Which is equal to approximately 8 8/10. Alright, hopefully this introduction lesson to the Pythagorean Theorem makes sense. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Again, my hope is to be back in the classroom on Friday to see you all. I hope you had a great first day back from your long weekend, and I am looking forward to seeing you all on Friday. Thank you. Bye.